Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, depending on where you guys are in the world. Welcome to another Verbling class. This class is about conversation. Conversation is going to be related to project management vocabulary or business vocabulary. In business, well, we do a lot of project management, whether we realize it or not. Hi, Adela. Hi, Adela.
Hello, Simon.
I missed you.
Hello. Do you hear me? Yes.
I missed you. I was having a lot of late classes this week, so I didn't see you.
And maybe the timetable is not for me, no? And maybe.
Well, I had a lot of late classes, that's why.
Yes. Maybe a little later for me.
It was very, very late for you. This is a little late. That was very late.
Yeah. It's not so late.
Excellent. Sorry, I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm getting my stopwatch ready. It's low on batteries, so I'm just going to set it to plug it in here. That's why I'm looking over here instead of directly at you. Just give me a second. General, and where do I set the auto lock? There we go. Set it to 5 minutes for the class. All right, excellent. So I got the timer ready. Let's see who else has joined us. Oh, two students joining that I've met recently. Hello, Alan. How are you today?
Hi, teacher. Fine. And you?
I'm very good, thanks. Thanks for joining me tonight.
Thanks to you.
And how was your week?
Fine, fine. Already where I finished my week, but it's okay.
Excellent. Good. Terrific. We'll get started shortly. I just want to see how everyone's doing, and then we'll get right into another class. And I see, is this Jose? Yes, it is. Hello, Jose.
Hello, Simon. How are you?
I'm doing good, sir. I've got two classes back to back tonight. How exciting is that?
Yes, it is exciting. After this class?
Yeah. Yep. I have one right after this.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. Give me a second. I need to go upstairs and yell at people because they're dropping things and making noise, and I won't have it. Just give me a second. Oh, wrong ears. Sorry, guys. Like I said, I had people were being rude upstairs, and I had to go upstairs and, well, kick some butt. All right. So I was just talking to Jose, and another student who just joined us a few days ago. I think it was yesterday. Is Matus. Hello, Matus.
Hello. Nice to meet you again.
It's good to see you. Although I realized I just cut Jose off because I remembered I was talking to Jose before I went upstairs. But
Yes.
Matus, welcome from Poland again. We're going to get into project management, project cost management today. So all about budget and spending.
Cool.
Excellent. Sorry, Jose, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Don't worry, Simon.
I remembered what I was saying is, yes, right after this, I have a class, and it's what I call a game
Yes,
class.
in Spain, it's not the same hour. Sometimes you teach very so late.
Well, that's because you're a time traveler. See, where I live, it's
Yes,
only 5 o'clock in the evening.
yes.
But
This week you talk you talk two times at 1 p.m. in Spain.
and I apologize. I had some family visiting, so that's why I was only teaching late. However, next week you'll see some better times. You'll also see some weekend times. The week after, I will have a lot more weekend times. Anyhow, let's get into things here. Oh, I see. Who else just joined us? Veridania. Hello, Veridania. Welcome back.
Hello, Simon. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. It's been a few weeks since I've seen you last.
Yes, that's right. I've been very busy at work.
Well, busy is good, right?
Yes, yes, it's good.
Excellent. All right. So most of you guys know me, so I'll just give a very, very quick introduction. I am a certified project manager, certified by the Project Management Institute, known as PMI, under the certification of PMP. So everything we're going to talk about here today comes from the PMBOK, which is their official documentation on project management. So that's what this is here. See, PMBOK. Am I sharing? I am sharing, right? Let me just check. Yes, I'm sharing. Good. So we've talked about project management in the last several classes. Now, I'm not here to help you guys get certified. I'm here to introduce vocabulary in a conversation setting. So you guys are going to get to talk for a good 5 minutes or so. Yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, I'm losing my mind, we talked about project time management. Today, we're going to talk about project cost management. Okay? So what I would like to do is, let's see, how many students do we have in the class right now? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I want to give each student 10 minutes, sorry, not 10 minutes, each student 2 minutes for a total of 10 minutes for the class, to where I'll engage you in a conversation about the importance of budgets. When you hear this sound, that means time is up. And if you could just stop talking, and then I'll go on to the next student. It might seem rude, but if I don't do this, we will go over the time, and not everybody has a fair time. So it's one of the best ways I have of ensuring everybody has a fair amount of talk time. So I'm going to start with Adela. Adela, we're going to talk about project cost management, which is all about budgeting. Is budgeting important? Adela, you got 1 minute 43 seconds left. Hello? All right, so we've lost Adela. Alan, hello, Alan. Hello?
Hello, teacher. Hello. I'm
Good.
here.
Excellent. So is keeping to a budget important?
It's a very important thing in the when we have or you're gonna run a project,
Why?
because it's the basis of a larger thing about when you gonna make a large project or very small project. The cost is so variable.
Okay, so cost is important. But I'm going to be tough here. When it comes to cost management or budgeting, right?
Mhm.
Who cares? What stakeholders? And stakeholders, anybody that has an impact. So what stakeholders have an input into the budgeting process?
Stakeholders are the most interested in that situation.
Yeah, but who? Like who? Imagine you're at work here. Who's going to be most interested in the budget?
Stakeholder who are the most interested in that? What is the
Well,
question?
well, yeah, where you work, right, Alan?
Yeah.
Okay, so at your company, who's most interested in the budget?
The finances department,
Finance? Yeah.
the general manager,
Yep. The owner, the general manager. Yep.
yeah, that's the
Why?
most interested because they put the money in the situation in the project.
Yeah, they do. They're the ones providing the cash.
Sure,
All right.
that is why they are the most interested in that situation.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Alan's given us some good information here, and here's our first vocabulary. Sorry, first word. Stakeholders. It's anybody that has or that is impacted by a project. And if you're providing funds, you're a very important stakeholder. We might even say a core stakeholder. All right, Adela, we're going to go back to you. So
Yes,
when
I'm
it comes to managing the project's budget, what should we do first? What do you think is most important if we're going to come up with a budget?
For the budget.
Yeah, so think of inputs. What goes into a budget?
Into a budget, I think you need to reflect the points more important, where can be, for example, risk of delays, etc., or the overcost, maybe, or in different, and in the cost. I think you need to consider different things about maybe groups or in a budget.
Okay.
Different areas.
Yeah, so we need many different people to consult and review the budget, right?
Yes, to have more control about the budget, because one person can be biased, an idea biased, no, biased,
Biased?
biased, need two different people to the budget was or will be more real, or I think.
Well,
I don't know.
that's certainly what we do later on at the beginning stages. And if you guys are seeing some really, really boring stuff on the screen here, that's because it's all process related. So the vocabulary is coming from the PMBOK, which is all about project management, and they're processes that we use. So I'm not going to get into the deep details of this, but when you think of project cost management for a project, you've got 4 essential processes here. The first thing we need to do is we need to do some planning. Okay? And these are all the processes and policies that we have at the place that we're working that help us document what we need to do when we plan, manage, and execute project costs. We have a finance department. And quite often, the finance department will work with us to estimate the costs. Last year, you spent $10 million. How much do you need this year? We come up with a list of projects. We estimate the cost. Okay? And once we have those costs estimated, we then have a budget. Well, we determine the budget through the determine budget processes. And once we have a project, we're not done because, hey, what can happen if we... So I was talking to Alan, and Alan said, well, you've got to manage the budget so they don't go over. If you guys want a really, really good example of what happens if you don't manage the budget, look at Greece. And that's not a joke there. That's a very serious situation of what happens when a very large organization, in this case a country, didn't properly manage its budget. It has large consequences. If that was a country, a company, it probably would have gone under. So what I want to do for the rest of the conversation, I want to engage you guys in using this vocabulary. If you have any questions, ask me. All right, Jose, what I want to do now is I want to use an example. So in the last couple of classes, we've been talking about building a highway. It's an excellent project. We're all familiar with it. I want to show you guys a picture of the type of highway that I'm thinking of. So give me a second. And, oh, here we go. Here's a perfect example. Just a second. Help, I've lost my screen. I need a bigger screen to teach you guys. This 13-inch screen is not big enough. So I'll stop sharing that. So imagine that we're going to build a highway like this. Imagine we're going to build it between two cities. I'll use Toronto and Montreal in Canada. You can see that it's got 3 lanes on each side. It's going to be 500 kilometers long. So it's obviously going to be very expensive. So that's the example I'm going to use for today. So Jose,
Okay.
let's imagine I've just come to you and I want to talk to you about building a highway. How do we estimate the cost here? What do we need to spend money on?
Yes. There are 4 important processes inside the project cost management. The first one is you have to make a plan about the cost management.
Mm-hmm.
You have to establish the process about the policies, procedures, and documentation for planning, managing and executing and controlling project costs. The second one, you have to make an estimation about all the costs.
Okay, good. So what we're talking about here then, Jose, is think back to the highway.
About the highway.
What kind of costs? What are big costs in building a highway? What do we have to be concerned with on a project like that?
The big costs that include the building of this highway could be the materials, the human resources.
Yeah, HR.
Because you need to hire a lot of people to build this road, and I don't remember anything else.
Well, materials and labor.
What more?
Well, think about it here. Materials and labor. Jose, if you're going to ask me a question, you've got to let me answer.
Okay.
So if we're looking at materials and labor, that's one thing too, but probably we're going to need to contract out to many, many companies, right?
Yes, outsourcing.
Yeah, sorry about that. Time's up. So that's a very good point. We need to contract companies out.
Yes.
Boy, these are going to be very expensive. Let's go to Matus. So Matus, yeah, we're going to have to contract out. How would we try to come up with the cost? You've never built a highway. I've never built a highway. How do we estimate these costs? What's a good way of estimating the cost?
I think at first we should ask contractors for
Excellent. Yeah.
for the offers, and we will have idea about the costs.
Excellent. Yeah, we'd go out to market, right? Now, do you just ask one contractor?
No, a lot of contractors.
Are you familiar with a process that allows you to go to market where you can basically take a proposal so that everybody can see it? Are you familiar with this process?
Yes.
Do you know what it's called?
I don't know how it is in English.
Well, and I know the names of them here, but it's essentially a bidding service, right?
Yes. It's about bidding. Yeah.
Yeah. So we can tell them everything we want done. Like, we know what we want to do, right? What do we want to do, Matus?
We want to get the best offers.
On building what?
On building highway.
Yeah, exactly. So we put down all the details, and in that picture, oh, time is up here, so I'm going to go on to Veridania. So Veridania, what kind of highway is this? What kind of road is it?
Kind of road. It's a large highway that will allow us to go through 2 cities or more. Will allow that allows the transportation of too many people.
Okay, so transportation of lots of people. Excellent. I mean, that's good too. What speed do you want on this highway?
What? Sorry, I didn't understand.
Well, that's important, the speed, right? So
The speed. Okay.
what should be the minimum speed that the road can sustain?
The minimum probably 40 miles per hour.
Okay, so 40 miles per hour, that's about 80, okay?
Yes.
So that means that if the road takes a turn or anything, people should be able to travel at 80 kilometers an hour, 40 miles an hour, without feeling stress. The road can be banked to handle that, right? So these are all the things we want to do. What else would you want in a highway like that, Veridania?
Well, it also can be very useful. The carpool in the first line.
Okay, so carpool lane or HOV lanes, high occupancy vehicle, right?
Yeah.
Why?
The signals.
Signs, yeah. Okay, this is excellent. So for those of you that were here yesterday, we talked a lot about all these different activities that were needed, and you see we're doing the same thing here. Now, if we've already gone out and gotten all this information, we know exactly what we want to do. Because imagine if you're building a highway, well, you want it to last, let's say 50 years. You don't have to be a road scientist to know that. Yeah, I want the road to last 50 years. I want to be able to drive at 100 kilometers an hour as the minimum speed without feeling any stress on the vehicle. I want it to handle high heat and extreme cold. And I want it to be guaranteed for 20 years without us having to repair it. Now, each of these requirements that I add in is going to increase the cost. Okay, so that's part of estimating the cost. We look at all the requirements, we ask a vendor to provide us some costs, and then we can determine the budget. All right, now for our next round, I'm going to give you guys, well, I'm going to give you a choice here. I can pair you off where you can talk with each other about working on projects in the past that you've worked on where it hasn't been managed properly and things that could have been done, or you could have a conversation with me. So in the group chat, type teacher or student. If there's more student votes, then I'll have you guys talk with each other. If there's more teacher votes, you'll talk directly with me. Go ahead, guys. So teacher, 3. Oh, teacher has it then because there's only 5 of you. All right, perfect. So Adela, I'm going to give you 10 minutes. Now, here's some advice for everybody too. So it's a conversation class. And let me stop sharing for a sec. I don't want you to speak too fast. Speak slowly. And what happens when you speak slowly is your enunciation will be better. Right? It's very important that you focus on what you're trying to say, but also enunciate clearly too. This is not a pronunciation class. However, if you talk too fast, it will make it difficult for everybody to understand. All right, Adela, so you've got 2 minutes. Tell me about a project you were on and where the budget was either handled properly or wasn't handled properly. Can you give me an example or an experience you worked on?
Okay, for example, every year we need to have the center project in the school, and we need to assume the cost we need to develop all year our course. And sometimes in the past when we we didn't have experience, maybe we had a lot of money in the, for example, power, but lost on the other groups. But today, after experience repeat year by year, we have more or less the idea. I think it's important to the cost to estimate the cost, the experience you have about to calculate because it's an estimation. Calculate the consume. Calculate the money you need for different areas.
Okay,
I think
so
that is
let me
important.
interrupt you for a sec. So the lesson learned here is that the first time doing the budget, it might not be very accurate, but each time you revisit the budget, it gets more accurate, correct?
Yes, revise and actualize because the percentage increase, no, the price.
Prices
But,
always increase. Yes. Very good. Thank you,
yes.
Adela. So, Alan, I also want you to tell us something from your past. Now, again, guys, if this is too personal and you don't want to give out details, make something up. But I want you to share with us an example of a project you worked on and where the budget went really, really badly and how it affected the project, or it was managed badly, you went over budget, or an example of where you went under budget. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Teacher, I am already studying for the PMP.
PMP, yeah.
Yeah, I'm already studying that. We are doing a fictional project.
Yes, fictional.
Just for the certification, and we are working in a project for vending machine, the installation of vending machine. And in the process that we are is about to make the budget, the cost, all the study about that, and we have a lot of costs involved. Mm-hmm. We have to make the quotation of the vending machine, the installation, the certificate personnel for the installation, and there are a lot of things that we have to consider for that work. Mm-hmm. And that is my project. And then right now I running with my partner in the PMP, and there's a lot of work that we have to do.
There's an awful lot of work, and once you created the budget, are you done?
No, we are working in that process. Now in 1 hour, more or less, we have the next class, and we need to present what we have in that moment. And we have the quotation of the vending machine, like $40,000, mm-hmm. And there are expensive machine fabricated in Spain.
Thank you. All right, so yeah, it takes a lot of work to come up with a budget, but once you come up with a budget, you're not done. You have to keep track of your projects. With each task, your project can increase in budget, or you can be spending less than your budgeted amount. Both are not good. You don't want to come in under budget. You don't want to go over budget. All right. Next, Jose. Yes. Do you know why it's not good to come in under budget?
No, I don't know.
Okay. Well, let me explain why. I'll be brief because this is your talk time.
Yes.
Imagine we're building a highway here. We come up with our budget. We tell our leaders that it's going to cost $10 billion, and it costs $8 billion. Well, when we told them it was going to cost $10 billion, all the finance people started doing this. Oh, okay, all right. So they said, okay, we can get $10 billion at 2% over 25 years. So they go out, they borrow the money.
Okay.
So now if you don't spend that money, then they're upset because now they're borrowing $2 billion that they didn't need to borrow.
Yeah.
So on a large project, don't come in under budget. Don't go over budget. What do you think is the right thing to do on a project? Budget.
Go on the budget.
Yeah. And is that easy to do?
No, it's very difficult because you have all the time to managing and to take control about the budget, because sometimes is getting up and sometimes it's getting down.
How do we manage the budget? How do we prevent it from going over?
You have to take the control over every process of the project. Over the project.
Maybe. I don't think we necessarily need to control everything. I mean, trust, control. We need to balance.
Okay.
Do you remember our class on scope?
No, I didn't remember the class on the
Okay.
scope.
Well, thank you, Jose. But before we go into Matus, let me explain scope. So project scope, just like we manage the budget, we have to manage the scope. The scope is what we're going to do.
Okay.
It might be a list of a whole bunch of stuff, such as build a highway from Toronto to Montreal, 6 lanes wide, capable of minus 40 to plus 40 temperature, 100 kilometers an hour. That's our scope.
Okay.
So then somebody comes to us and say, yeah, we want to use a better asphalt that'll last longer. Everybody says, yes, that's a great idea. Go do it. No, you don't. What you do is you come up with, okay, it's a great idea. How much is it going to cost? How long is it going to take? And what are we changing? So then we take this to management. We say, hey, we have a benefit to the project. We can increase the life of the project, save on operating costs. It'll save this much money. It'll cost this much money. It'll take this long.
Okay.
So before we approve any changes, we need to review them. And then if they say, yes, go with it, well, we've increased the budget, but it's been approved. It's been managed. So we go back to those finance people again and say, look, can you give us another $200,000? Here's why. It'll save how much money? And how much will it cost? Okay, great. Yes, it's approved. You go ahead and do it. So that's why it's okay to increase your budget as long as it's managed. You just don't let people change everything. Okay? And what we learned yesterday is follow the schedule. With each task, you can see whether it's on schedule or not. You don't have to follow every process, but keep an eye on the schedule. So Matus, can you give us an example of a project you worked on that went way over budget?
Yes, this was my first project actually, when we agreed on everything, every change from the client, but we don't inform him about changing of budget, and at the end, when the budget was finished, we have big problem with this.
Because he was surprised?
Yes, he was surprised that changes costs.
Yeah. So what did you do next project you were on? How did you handle it differently?
We have informed. We have discussed with the client every change, every single cost, and we discuss about this. If we thought that this is that is necessary, the clients actually always agree on that.
Yeah, they want to be consulted, right?
Yes.
It's like, well, I'll give you an example here. Somebody left this on my door. I have a driveway. It's 12 years old. They'll come by, they'll reseal it, and they'll repair it. So my first question is, how much is it? They've got the price. I know how much it costs for a new driveway. At a certain price, I'm thinking like, you know what? I'll just wait for it to fall apart and get a new one. It'll save me more money. The rest of the time, though, if it comes in at a certain point, you see, wow, this is going to save wear and tear on my vehicle. It's going to save wear and tear on the driveway. It's going to cost me $50, but I'll save that back in the first 2 years. Mission is a go. I'm going to tell you guys a bit of a secret. Some of you, I'm sure, already know this. Whether it's your resume or whether you're asking for something from management, there's 3 things you must always disclose. What is it? High-level details. What is it? So describe what it is you want, the change. Why are you going to do it? And what will the result be? Okay? And in there, you should always talk about cost, right? So your results should be what? Cost or schedule? I worked on 2 projects last year. One of them was to deploy Wi-Fi to our corporate office. I was told that it had to be done that year. It couldn't go over. When I was working on it, I saw an opportunity. Well, there was a risk. So the risk was schedule, right? So I looked at the risk, and I realized after 2 weeks, the risk was that we would be completed early. Now you figure, wait, that's not a risk. Well, it is. But it's a positive risk. So I went to my manager and I said, look, it looks like we're going to finish a little bit early. However, if you give me an extra $100,000, I can get it done a month early. Would you like that? So I told him what we would do, why we would do it, and the result. We'd collapse the schedule. And he said, yeah, go ahead, get it done. All right, guys, we're going to do another round. We're going to take 2 minutes apiece. I've talked about a few things today, and Jose's rattling paper, so I'm going to mute you, Jose. We're talking today about the budget. Yesterday we talked about schedule and activities. Previously we talked about the scope. It's impossible to talk about one without the others. So for the last, well, maybe we'll have more time after this. For the next 2 minutes, I want you guys to talk about projects you've been on and some of your lessons learned. Again, these might have been issues that had happened and how you were able to solve a problem, or maybe you didn't solve it and it didn't go so well, but you learned a valuable lesson for future projects. So once again, I'll start with Adela. Oh, Veridania, I missed you? No, I didn't miss you. We're going to go ahead right now. Sorry, Veridania. So with 2 minutes, why don't you start us off?
Don't worry, Simon.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I work for a cosmetics and fragrances company. So marketing launches new products every year.
Mm-hmm.
I work in purchasing, so I have the opportunity to have participation in these new launches. I remember a product that, as a fragrance, that was not planned correctly. Mm-hmm. And also one important aspect in the projects of my company is forecast accuracy. So the forecast accuracy was not done correctly. So we sell or oversell more than we expected, more than we calculate on the forecast. So the demand was so huge that we couldn't cover that. So we have to to looking for suppliers or tiered party manufacturers that can help us to produce or to manufacture that fragrance in order to give it to the market or to the customers. Obviously, this caused a lot of extra expenses or additional expenses that were not in the budget. We went to over budget, but the good thing was that the product was a success.
See, that's very tough with manufacturing, especially not even manufacturing, but in retail, clothing, for example.
Yeah.
It's very tough. You don't know how much to produce one year. If you don't produce enough, in many cases you don't have a second chance. That's it. You're done. You can't retool in time. If you produce too much, well, now you lose a lot of money. So we call something we call analytics, and it allows you to kind of do this based on your previous sales and how much you expect. But it's tough. That's very tough for Adenia.
Yes.
Guys, a quick question before I go to Adela. Can you guys hear any noise from my connection, like somebody running?
No.
Okay,
I don't
good.
hear anything.
No.
Good. All right. Well, Adela, you've got 2 minutes. Tell us an example of a lesson learned from your previous projects.
I don't have idea exactly about a project to share with the class, but for me it's interesting because these classes because I learn about planning, about project management.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned in these last classes about us, for example, don't have a good schedule and have a delay affect the cost negatively, and maybe we need to create works basic structure, no, to work about the scope, and maybe they have points, risk points, specific points that is can be problems that can be produced delay or overcost. I think that is important to control all the project, and after that to have a control, to have a monitoring about the project. I think is interesting. Is necessary in a project to have this plan, this process.
Thank you, Adela. Yeah, it is very important to keep an eye on things. Remember, trust versus control. You don't want to be a micromanager. If you're micromanaging things, then there's something wrong. Okay, you're not doing your job properly if you have to micromanage, or you've got the wrong staff, right? Sometimes there are situations where you have to micromanage. Right, Alan, I'm looking for some lessons learned from your past.
Okay, I am from Chile.
Mm-hmm.
The last year we were been working for the Escondida water supply project. In that project, in the beginning of the project, we put in work for this project supplying electrical motors.
Mm-hmm.
We has the problem. Then all the clients of Escondida is a mining company. Of the client of Escondida send us mails for all the people that we work in the company that I've been, and we don't have a centralized email for receive that communication. and we were a lot of mails, a lot of indication, and we don't have a centralization of that information. That was a very problem for us, and the solution that we made was to create a particular mail with the name of the project, and that was the solution. The centralization is the fact of the solution of that problem that we was.
Okay, and that's a good point. So whenever you identify a problem, the first thing you need to figure out is what went wrong, why it went wrong, and what you can do differently next time around. And whenever you look back on that problem, you understand how the schedule changed, how the cost changed, and that result is very important because then you can improve upon it next time. All right, next, Jose. So Jose, I'm looking for a lessons learned from your previous projects. Could be related to budget, scope, activities.
Okay. I think these kind of classes are very useful because I can learn a lot of new vocabulary related with project management. I learned that the project management has three important parts. The first one is the schedule, the second one is the budget, and the third one is the scope. When you modify some of one part, this part could be affect to the another one. The schedule is related with the time, the budget with the cost, and the scope, the means what are you going to do. When I studied at the university mechanical engineering, one teacher taught me a software. I remember the name. It was Taylor. I don't know if this software is useful or not.
I didn't. Could you type that word for me, please?
Taylor.
Tailored, customized.
Yes. Taylor. With this kind of software, you can make the schedule of the project.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So there's many different vendors out there. You can go with Microsoft, and there's so many different types. Yes.
There are so many different types of software. Okay. But I think that this kind of vocabulary is very useful. I think so.
Yeah, it's very, very useful. And
yes.
I taught this class a few years ago, and I had a lot of people showing up, but what I've done this time around is I don't spend time teaching so much as I introduce vocabulary, and we have a conversation about it. And I think that's... So you get to speak a lot and learn some more vocabulary, too. And I like lessons learned because you guys get to learn from each other, too.
Okay.
All right. We've lost Matus, but it's very late in Poland. Rodania, can you give us an example of a project you worked on, some lessons learned?
Well, for me, some lessons learned have been planning, first of all. Always to be aligned with the timeline of the project, to take always into consideration the due dates or the deadlines for each phase of the project. And also the cost estimation, especially when I have to purchase a raw material or packaging material that is imported. I have to take into consideration the variations of the US dollar because I purchase in, or I pay in Mexican pesos, but I purchase in US dollars. So these factors are very important for me because this can lead into the success of the project or the failure.
Being in Canada, we have the same problems. Currency risk plays a huge impact.
Yes.
Guys, and it's a terrible thing too when you deal with currencies. You could be on budget, yet because of the currency changes, you're no longer on budget. It's a currency risk. So how do you manage currency risk, Viridania?
Well, I try to make a forecast of the variation of the exchange rate, to look at the history in the last months, and I try to put or to fix an exchange rate that maybe it's going to be over the current exchange rate.
And no matter how hard you work, it's still a little bit of this, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, because in Canada and Mexico, you probably you felt this too. The dropping oil price, nobody saw that coming, and it's made a huge impact on our economy.
Yes, exactly the same.
So one thing we do though when we're trying to deal with currency risk is something called hedging. And if you hedge, then it doesn't matter whether it goes up or down, you don't lose, you don't gain. All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
We've got about 4 minutes left. I'm going to end the class at 55 after, because I have another class in 9 minutes. I need that time to get some water and get the screen set up, but then I'll be back here for what I consider to be a game class. We play 20 questions, so I think of an object such as, well, this for example, a game controller. But I won't tell you what it is, and you guys will take turns asking questions. So we use things such as questions such as, is it big, is it small, can I eat it, is it alive, is it made with electronics? All questions where I answer with a yes or no. Purpose of this class is to obviously have a little bit of fun. It's Friday after all, but to get you speaking. Speaking where you're not waiting 1 or 2 minutes, where you'll ask a question, and even if the class is full, within a minute you're asking another question. You're listening to other students. You're listening to the teacher. You're trying to guess it before others do. Okay? So that's 20 questions. Yes, and Adela, it's starting soon. The other game I play is called Guess That Number, or Guess the Price. I show you a picture of a house, for example, and you guys have to guess what it is. So you ask questions such as, is it less than or is it greater than $100,000? Why? Because a lot of students, no matter how well they speak, have trouble with numbers in English. So this is to get you guys used to speaking numbers. Sometimes we'll play mostly 20 questions. Sometimes we'll play mostly numbers. I don't care. We always start with 20 questions, and I say, okay, what would you guys like to do? 20 questions or numbers? We'll take a vote in group chat, and then that's what we'll do. So that's coming up in 2 minutes. However, are there any questions on project management? Anything we've talked about in this class? No?
No,
Nothing.
It's very clear and helpful.
Okay,
Very
good.
clear or very complex?
Well, it is. And remember, we're not here to solve the world's problems. We're here to talk about vocabulary and have a conversation. I mean, after all, you're not here to learn project management. You're here to learn English and have conversation. And if we can have a conversation with project management, that's good. I have lots of conversation classes. Sometimes I'll pick an issue that we're dealing with in the world, and I'll use that. I always try to pick things that everybody has an opinion on. Other times, it'll be a free-for-all, but the point is to get you guys speaking as much as I can. And lately with my classes, even though they're sold out, there's only 4 or 5 of you in, so there's a lot more talk time. You guys are getting as much as 7 to 10 minutes of talk time, which is perfect. All right, so I think I have a class tomorrow. So after this class coming up, let's see, when is my next class? Let's see here. I think I have something tomorrow. They've changed things around, and I find it hard to see. So let's see, classes, schedule. Saturday, I have one early in the day. This is terrific. So let's see, tomorrow's the 25th. For most of you, it's in the morning. For some of you, like Adela, it's in the afternoon. So I don't know if it's sold out or not at this point, but that's a great time. And I think on Sunday, no, I haven't. So I need to start filling up my classes for the following week. All right, guys. So I better get going. I will be back here in 5 minutes to start my next class. Thank you so much for coming to today's class.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, teacher.
Bye bye. Take care.
See you later.